What's going on, guys? I'm here today with another MP5 video. This time we're talking about some extra stuff. Let's get into it. It's a cool little rail system. Alright guys, so you may have seen this cool little rail system for the MP5 floating around the internet for a little bit. It's by a company called Leapers. Now Leapers is like the main manufacturing company, but they run a lot of other brands or companies underneath of it. So one of those companies is UTG Pro. So this is manufactured by Leapers, but branded as a UTG Pro item. You may be familiar with UTG as a company. They make a lot of cool little accessories, mounts, bipods, all that kind of stuff. A lot of quality stuff at a great price point. But this one is branded in the UTG Pro line, which they came out with some time ago, to sort of give that step above the standard UTG line itself as the Pro line. Now let's go over why this little rail system is innovative and I think pretty cool. All right, so what you're looking at is a two-piece aluminum construction rail system. It's got a full-length Picatinny on the top, low profile, M-lock slots on the 12, 9, I'll say that's 7, 6, and all the way around. So you got full capabilities for M-lock slots all the way around, full 360 degrees. Also comes with a QD point on both sides there for your sling attachments. Now, if you have an MP5 and you don't have one with a top rail welded on, came from the factory like that, because not all of them do. Not every model comes with that, and it's an extra cost. So you may not, for whatever reason, want to go for that top rail. Maybe you want to keep it classic. Maybe you don't want to run an optic. You just don't want it on there from the factory. But then down the line, you feel like, you know what, I think I'm going to run a red dot on this thing. Now you're limited, because now you got to, go with an aftermarket scope mount of some sort, Picatinny mount, and a lot of those things can be big and bulky. Even ones that come with certain guns are big and bulky. Like, for example, this is a Zenith. This is a Zenith gun, and this one did not have a top rail welded on. They include in the box a Picatinny rail mount that attaches via the claw method on the receiver points, but it's chunky, it's thick. And a lot of people don't like it because it can get in the way of your hand when you're charging it, and cut yourself up. So some people don't use those ones. So why this is cool, it's very low profile, but it still attaches the same way as an aftermarket, scope mount, Picatinny mount would via the lugs on the side. But what's cool about these lugs, the way they develop this, it's really simple to install. If you guys have ever messed with an MP5 and trying to put on one of those claw type mounts of any sort to lock into those lugs, it's sort of a pain because you got to get those little lug pieces in there, you got to drop the screw in, and it always seems really awkward and weird to get those things to line up and sit in that channel perfectly as you start to tighten them. This, as it sits over top, you can see it's a whole piece that goes over top, has these little inserts with a line on it, you can tell, to make sure you're matched up. It just pops in that hole, the screw goes down into the top, and it matches it perfectly with the threads from this little pin. So it literally takes, a few seconds to get this thing on, which is much appreciated over the traditional way to mount a claw mount. Moving on from that, what I found was once I had this top piece on, I had to take like a little soft mallet and just give it a little bit of a tap back here. So once it gets on, you want to make sure it's seated into place correctly and it's not canted up. So I gave it a little tap here and a little tap in the front just to make sure everything was good. Everything lined up perfectly and everything was straight. Once you do that, you're good to go. You mount it on these 4 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then moving on to the front, you have your lower handguard piece that just pops right in from the bottom, and you got 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the other side. So why this is a cool setup is now you have the modularity of M-lock, you also have the pick rail, and it's made to a really good quality standard, all aluminum construction. It's very robustly built. It doesn't feel flimsy to me at all. It's a nice sturdy, once you get this locked in with the screws, it's not moving, it's not twisting, it is a solid piece. It feels like it is part of the receiver, part of the gun, and it was made that way. So that's really what you want, especially if you're going to run an optic. You know, if these things start to wiggle up and move, then you're off zero. So another cool little feature is, since this is all like a two-piece construction, all full length up on the top and then that small piece on the bottom, it has a nice cutout for the charging handle. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, I mean, why is it nice? Well, when you're going to charge an MP5, you come in, you grab it, you pull it up, and you lock it into place. This channel it's nice and smooth. It's not sharp. There's nothing that's going to snag your hand even if you're not wearing gloves. And it's really wide and open and easy to get to. It's not like you're going to try to fumble and you know, just be hung up on something. You know, it's a nice smooth, this whole piece. I don't know if you can tell if the camera's picking up. It's a very nice smooth construction. The finishing is very smooth, high quality. And then of course you can still hit it with the slap. It gives you a little bit of extra height on the top there that you wouldn't have if it was just the receiver. You can see that little bit of height extra there. You can still come up and roll it forward with your thumb if that's the way you wanted to do it, or you can still come back and have enough room to then do the old HK slap. So it's a really nice feature, and I think really well thought out to give that a nice wide opening there and have no sharp points that could snag your hand, your thumb, and, you know, make for an unpleasant experience shooting the MP5. And all right, so let's take some shots with this thing and see how it runs. I mean, guys, it's an MP5 at heart. What this is giving you is the ability to have M-lock, the ability to mount whatever you want on this thing. I got a foregrip on it because, you know, I like to run a foregrip when I'm running these things. You can put whatever you want. You have now the ability to move a light around. You have all the space that you need. You have like that 45 angle on the top. You have the 3 and 9 o'clocks if you want to run lights on either side, pressure switches, hand stops, whatever. You could throw your pressure switch on the top because now you've got M-lock on the top as well. So you could throw, I mean, geez, really, you could throw, if you're going to run an optic, throw an optic on the top, pressure switch, thumb switch on the top, light on the side on the 45, keep it nice and close up here. And of course, if your thumb is here, you're going to be in the way of your irons, especially if you have a pressure pad, but still running that optic, you got a lot of options with this. And it really is a game changer. I honestly believe that for the MP5, for people who want to have the MP5 brought into this era, this modular era to put lights and gadgets and all types of stuff on an MP5, it's really hard to do that with a standard configuration MP5 because it just wasn't made that way. It was a time when that wasn't what was happening. So having companies do this sorts of thing to help bring these guns that are still way popular today, the ability to do that, I think is great. Overall, it's just great. See, this is what I was talking about with UTG. They make a lot of cool little accessories. They got some just low profile panel covers. If you want to put them on this, you know, give yourself a little extra grippy surface. It has like a scale type of feel to it. Unfortunately, I didn't have any extra red dots or flashlights or anything that wasn't in use to really trick this thing out. But it's coming, you know, it's something that's something you do a little bit over time. At least now the rail is here. You got to have the rail to do everything else. So step one, complete. All right, guys, so there's really just not a whole lot to say about this. I think it honestly is a really cool, innovative product for the MP5. It's quality made. Nothing I've seen since I've had it has led me to believe that it wouldn't hold a zero. It is cheaply made and something that wouldn't be worth your time and money to upgrade your MP5 with if you want to go this route. It looks sleek enough that it looks part of the gun, like it's OEM. The way this is fit and finished, they did a wonderful job. Again, like from a distance, you would never know this wasn't just part of the gun and it just didn't come that way. So I think that's the goal a lot of times, is making it look like it's supposed to be and not an afterthought. So they did a great job with that. The only thing I could say, people might say about this is because it's aluminum, it's a heat sink. This is gonna get warm if you don't run like a vertical grid, AFG of some sort, or panels. It's gonna get warm. Now, if you had a full auto MP5 and you're dumping and dumping and dumping, it might get a little warm. But it's a 9mm. They don't run that hot. And I've just shot it rapid fire a bunch here on and off camera, and I was feeling for that, and I did not feel anything that was concerning. I don't think heat sink is going to be an issue with this. Again, maybe if you're dumping and dumping mags on full auto, just your regular guy shooting, I don't think it's an issue. So, all right, guys, don't forget, Steve MP5 on the Instagrams. See you next time.